What is consent? What does it look like? And how do I receive it? How do I give it? That's what I'm trying to figure out, and I've received help from 20 participants. According to RAIN, Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, consent is defined as an agreement between participants to engage in sexual activity. I never formally learned about consent. I wasn't given sex ed in school. My 5th grade teacher looked all of us in the eye and said, "You're all too immature for this." What a way to prepare us for the real world. Thanks, Rosemary. All jokes aside, in researching consent ed and sex ed related questions amongst participants, here's what I found. 63.2% of my participants identify as queer, and 80% received some form of sex ed in high school or college. 70% of you who received sex ed say it didn't include LGBTQ identities at all. Yikes. Here's what consent means. Consent is active and ongoing, not a one-time check-in. Consent must be informed, enthusiastic, and uncoerced. Nonverbal cues are valid but should not be ambiguous. Consent education should be inclusive, especially for queer students. Consent can be revoked at any point, regardless of previous agreements. Sexual autonomy and communication are crucial. Standard sex ed is lacking, particularly for queer individuals. Consent isn't just about sex. It's about any physical interaction, hugging, touching, etc. How is consent given? Saying yes clearly and confidently. Giving explicit verbal or written consent. Agreeing to participate without pressure or coercion. Consent must come from someone fully capable of decision-making, not under the influence, not asleep, and not impaired. A clear understanding of what is being agreed to. Verbal or gestural affirmation, nodding, leaning in, or moving closer. Consent must be enthusiastic and not hesitant. Positive body language can support verbal consent, but should not be used exclusively. Consent can be withdrawn at any time. Both parties must mutually affirm the decision. Consent requires being fully informed of the act. Consent is not valid if influenced by threats, pressure, or substances. How is consent received? Ask clearly and directly. Hear an enthusiastic verbal yes. Ensure understanding of what's being agreed to. No pressure, no coercion. Consent can be revoked at any time. Use intentional, clear language or gestures. Confirm boundaries and comfort levels beforehand. Watch for body language and emotional cues. Stay attentive throughout the encounter. Stop immediately if asked or signaled. Reiterate desires, dislikes, and limits for clarity before engaging. Consent should be sober, informed, and explicit. Always prioritize communication and respect. Here are a few important things to nail down. Consent cannot be given by individuals who are underage, intoxicated, or incapacitated by drugs or alcohol, or asleep or unconscious. You can withdraw consent at any point if you feel uncomfortable. Physiological responses like an erection, lubrication, arousal, or orgasm are involuntary, meaning your body might do this regardless of consenting to the activity. Arousal does not equate consent. Why is consent education important anyway? Consent ed ensures safety and prevents harm, promotes bodily autonomy and choice, prevents sexual assault and abuse, counters power imbalances, reduces misunderstandings about consent, empowers individuals, supports pleasure-centered, respectful experiences, challenges harmful myths, encourages clear communication and boundaries, protects vulnerable communities, especially queer people and women, reinforces that consent is mandatory and not an option, should be taught early and consistently, dismantles rape culture, and creates healthier, more informed sexual interactions. Queer individuals say that conversations about consent can really vary. Here's what we know. They are often more difficult due to a lack of queer inclusive sex ed. They're dominated by heteronormative models of sex. Same-sex friendships can blur the lines and lead to misunderstandings. Queer relationships are often devalued or not taken seriously. Shame and hypersexualization complicate conversations. Some find it easier due to community openness and comfort with identity. Personal experience in sexual liberation can foster better consent practice. Queerness doesn't automatically mean better. Queer people may struggle to identify assault due to limited education. URI, we're looking at you. Here's what you can do better. Seriously, those flavored condoms and health services really aren't cutting it. Offer queer-inclusive sex ed courses or workshops. Make consent education ongoing, not one time at orientation. Emphasize bodily autonomy, pleasure, and enthusiastic consent. Include diverse identities, bodies, and practices in your education models. Promote events and resources through the GSC. Use posters, pamphlets, and accessible materials campus-wide. Provide in-person mandatory courses on consent. Bring in guest speakers and host open conversations. Normalize talking about queer sex. Create a culture of consent that supports all students, regardless of identity. Celebrate positive queer relationships and safe sexual experiences. Incorporate consent ed into classes regularly. This project has taught me that consent looks different for everybody, especially queer people. In an age where bodies are being controlled and sex conversations are still taboo, it's important that as a community, we bring awareness to the ways consent can prevent assaults from happening, and let URI know that we want consent ed, and we want it now.